Hi there, this is Teri from stampinmagic.com. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is this really cute card box. I used some of the images from the So Hoppy Together Celebration stamp set, as well as some of the Celebration ribbon, and I used papers from the Gingham Gala 6-inch paper stack. The box opens at the top, and inside I've created 6 cards using our narrow note cards and envelopes. I created 2 cards for each of the main images in the stamp set, and I used all the colours from the Gingham Gala 6-inch paper stack with an extra card in the yellow. So let's get started. I'm starting with the piece of our thick Whisper White cardstock that measures 8.5 inches by 7 3/4 inches. And I'm going to place this in my simply scored board with the longest side across the top. I'm going to score down at 2 7/8 of an inch, 4 inches, 6 7/8, and 8 inches. Then I'm going to turn my cardstock and I'm going to score at 1 1/8 of an inch, 6 1/8 of an inch, and 7 1/4 inches. I've gone over all the scored lines in pencil so you can see them more clearly. The base of the box has 1 horizontal score line and the top of the box has 2. Now this side tab on the right hand side is where we're going to add glue later on, but first of all we need to remove some corner sections. I'm going to start by removing the bottom corner, and when I cut it away I'm going to slant cut the top and the bottom of that long thin tab where we're going to add our glue later on. So now I'm removing the top 2 corner pieces, and then I'm going to remove the top section above that square tab. The next thing I want to do is to create 2 side tabs at the top of the box. This helps the box fold in later on. So I'm going to cut down the score lines, separating the tabs from the top of the box, and then I'm going to remove the excess above the back section of the box. So first of all I'm just cutting down those score lines to separate the 2 side tabs. And then I'm going to remove the excess from the remaining sections. So this is the back section, and then again we have a small piece above the second side tab. Now I want to separate all the tabs at the bottom of the box. So I'm just cutting up against the score line, and I'm actually going to make 2 cuts and remove the score line itself. Again, this just helps the box fold in a little neater. So I'm just going along each of the score lines and separating all those tabs. And you can see the pieces I cut away are tiny. If you round the top corners of the lid, you'll find that your box closes much easier. And then to help remove the cards from the box, I'm going to punch a half circle at the top of the back section. Now I'm just going to mark the center point along that edge, and then I'm going to use the 3/4 of an inch punch, but you could use an inch punch or a half-inch punch. All would be absolutely fine. fold the box on all the scored lines and then use your bone folder to reinforce those folds and make them nice and crisp. Add glue along that side tab and then fold the box in to stick it together. Now for the base of the box. The section with the punched half circle is the back of the box, and that's the tab that you fold in first. Add glue to the front tab and the two side tabs. Then fold the two side tabs in first of all, followed by the front tab, and this will leave a nice clean edge at the front of the box on the bottom edge. Then you can close the top of the box. I'm going to use the Stamper Artist to do my stamping today, and I'm using the So Hoppy Together stamp set, these two images. I'm going to place my case underneath my Stamper Artist plate. This keeps the plate level and makes it much easier to ink up the stamps. I'm going to position my frog stamp first of all. I'm just using normal weight Whisper White cardstock for this. And then I'm going to ink up my stamp using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. For the butterfly, I want to stamp the image, but I want the butterfly to face the frog. So I want to stamp the mirror image, and I'm going to show you how I did this. I'm going to use my silicone mat for this technique, and I'm going to position it into that top corner of the Stamper Artist. I'm going to temporarily add some cardstock. Again, it's just normal weight Whisper White card, and then position my stamp. Then I'll remove the cardstock. I'm using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink again, and I'm just inking up my stamp and then stamping it down onto that silicone sheet. Then I'm just going to repeat this once more just to make sure that ink is nice and juicy. Then I'm going to carefully place my cardstock back on top of that silicone mat, ink up my stamp again, although you don't actually have to ink it up, you can just stamp it down. And then if I turn the cardstock over, you can see the mirror image that it's picked up from the silicone sheet. I'm going to be using the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers to colour, and for the butterfly I'm using the light and dark Balmy Blue and the dark Daffodil Delight. Now this butterfly is so tiny I won't be doing any blending at all, just straightforward colouring. So I'm doing the centre part of the wings in dark Balmy Blue, and then the outside with the light Balmy Blue. And then I'm just going to go in again with the dark just to add a little definition to those wings. And then finally I'm going to use the dark Daffodil Delight on the body, and then I'll cut him out by hand. For the frog I'm going to use the light Pineapple Punch and then the light and dark Granny Apple Green. I'm going to start with the Pineapple Punch, and I'm going to colour the whole image with this to start off with. And the reason I'm doing this is because the papers I'm going to use are actually lemon lime twist. They're not Granny Apple Green, but we haven't got a lemon lime twist blends marker. So adding the light pineapple punch as a base layer will lighten the whole image, and it'll just help the greens blend together a bit better. I'm now going to go in with the dark Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to add all my darker areas. And I'm by no means an expert with alcohol markers. I just do what works for me, and I do things in the order that works for me. So I'm just adding my shadows and all the dark areas that I want to add. And then once I'm happy, I'm going to switch to the light Granny Apple Green, and I'm just going to blend. So I just keep going over the image until I'm happy with the look of it. Those legs were a bit tricky, they're so skinny. And the arms. Now I did get a little bleeding, and I also went out the outside of the lines a couple of times, but I'll sort that in a second. Here I've switched to the colour lifter, and I'm just using it to push back that ink inside the lines. I then decided to go back in with the light pineapple punch and just lighten a couple of areas. The last thing I do with most of my images is to go around the outside of them with the light Pool Party Stampin' Blend. Sometimes I use the light Balmy Blue. Now I did notice as I was doing this that there was a little bit more bleeding happening, so I'm also going to correct that in a second. I've already cut out my butterfly. To cut out my frog, I'm going to use one of the Stitched Shapes framelets, one of the ovals. And then I have a small piece of Balmy Blue cardstock, and I'm going to create a mat for my image using one of the layering oval framelets, one of the scalloped ones. Now all the elements I need are ready. I can start decorating the front of this box. So the first thing I'm going to do is layer my image onto my scalloped oval. Then I'll add some dimensionals to the reverse. And finally add glue to the back of my butterfly and put him in position. I have two mats, one in Balmy Blue and the other in Gingham Gala Designer Series paper. This paper comes in 5 different colours. You have a small check on one side, and then the reverse side has a larger check. I'm going to layer these two mats together and then position them onto the front of the box. before adding my image panel towards the top of the box. I want to add a bow underneath the image panel, and I'm using the Celebration ribbon in Lemon Lime Twist. So I'm just creating 2 loops, although it's a bit tricky with my plaster. And then I'm tying left over right and pulling the loop through to create a little bunny ear bow. And then I'm just going to zhuzh it until I'm happy with how it looks and trim off the ends. And then I'm going to position the bow just by using a couple of glue dots on the reverse. And I think I picked up an extra one somehow. There we go. And this little project is now complete. And another quick look at the cards inside. These note cards and envelopes are really cute, lovely size. So I made them all different. I haven't added sentiments. I'm not sure what I'll use them for, whether give them as a gift or use them as thank you cards for my customers. I'll see. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.